Welcome to the Doctor Connect. We are connecting through inspiring stories and providing education and information around wellness, health, medical technology. I'm your host, Dr. Lyudmila Schaefer, medical oncologist, broadcasting from Kansas City in the United States. All information discussed on this platform does not substitute your medical care. Guests on this platform sharing own stories, experiences, and conclusions. And thank you so much for being with us with the Doctor Connect show. We know that our connection today is more important than ever. And we know that all connection works through neurons and brain and pathophysiology in such a complex way. And today I have two very special guests who you will not see actually very on common daily basis, and they are extremely famous. So please stay tuned with me and we discuss about connection and brain waves, and we will be right back. Well, welcome, Jose. Thank you for joining me today. What a pleasure. You know, I just realized that we all on a different continent.
We are indeed. And thank you so much for having me here today. It is a pleasure.
Yes. So, Jose, I realized that, you know, you are in England, correct?
Yeah.
And then we have US in Canada, and then I'm in US. So this is like a triangle. And this is a communication. We basically just connecting the dots. And I'm so excited to have you on the Doctor Connect show. Thank you so much for being our guest. I know you bring so much value. You've been TEDx speaking, you've been communicating, you've been teaching the world about connection. So when I saw about you, I thought the Doctor Connect, that's exactly what we are connecting. That's not only doctors, everything, your mind, body, communication, brain, soul, everything. So Jose, please tell us full name, where are you located, and a little bit of a backstory.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. And thank you so much for inviting me to this fantastic show all around connecting today. I'm Jose, what you read in the tin, Jose Ucar. I lived in Woking in the UK near London. I'm Venezuelan and I've traveled the whole world presenting, learning different languages, connecting with people, inspiring, and most importantly, helping people to present and to communicate their greatness, to connect with themselves in order to shine. I actually like to say, you first learn to communicate with yourself, then you communicate with others, and then you broadcast your message to the world. So that's kind of, that's what I do on a daily basis, Lyudmila, and I'm super happy to be here. You have no idea.
So the communication concept been actually known for a long period of time. And we know that in the past, you know, in school, we learn, communicate one way, you go to work, you communicate another way, you come home, you communicate a third way, you know, then you meet your friends, and it's every single time seems like communication is different and connection is different. And can you tell me a little bit, what is the unique? How do you actually manage all of those multiple concepts of communication and bring all together?
Everything starts, and this is what I speak about and what I help people with. Everything starts with an intention. What is your intention? Okay. So I could say I'm communicating with you, Lyudmila, today, and my intention could be, well, I want this podcast to be a success, or I would like you to be happy by the end of this conversation with me, for example. Okay, so I go deeper than that. My intention is to connect with you, to get to know you, to get super curious about who you are as a person. What is it that you do? You see? So with that same intention, which is kind of my purpose, the higher level, the spirituality, if you like, that's what I always carry with me. So no matter where I am, if my intention is to connect with the person in front of me, to be super curious because I've got excellence that I can learn from, that I can share, and together we can inspire others, that's what I do. I always believe that if I impact someone else's life, if I leave anyone else that I come into contact with a little bit better, that's going to create that ripple effect, the compound effect that can change the world. I know it sounds like, yeah, cliche, can change the world. Yeah, if I leave you a little bit better and you go and interact with someone else, leave it a little bit better, imagine the impact that can have in the world, in your environment, to start with. So intention, that's how I bring it all together. Your intention when you go out there, that's what makes the difference.
So intention is a very important concept, but let's say if I'm today in a bad mood, although I'm so excited that I don't know how I can be in a bad mood, but if I'm in a bad mood and I'm really struggling, and how do I actually pull it? My intention and my communication, I have a bad day. And today is just, especially with pandemic, there are so many people sitting at home, everybody, struggling. And I just can't get up from the couch. I just can't move. I just can't talk. I just don't want to answer the phone. What do I do?
Well, first of all, first question, do you really want to do it? Do you really want to go and communicate? Do you really want to go and impact someone else's lives? Okay, that's the first thing. And then there are different ways. It's just public speaking. If it's just in front of a crowd or the one-to-one, remember, I've got a glass of water there. I'm going to move it away. We are always conveying emotions, okay? That's the first thing. So if I'm sad, unconsciously, to start with, in the first few seconds, the person, you, Ludmila, in this case, or the audience, are going to experience that unconsciously. And then they're going to realize, wow, what is it about Jose today? So we are in charge of those emotions. So preparation, always prepare. It's just like before jumping on this call, I was doing a video. I had a session before, so I'm super excited. The day has been fantastic. Great. Easy. That's the easy one. But then let's go on to the one I woke up today and I was feeling bad because my my throat is a bit dry and I struggle. And then I had a fight with my wife, and then the business is not going well. That's a bit more challenging. So what to do? Okay, go back to your intention. How do you want to come across? What kind of impression do you want to make? How do you want to impact the person you're going to be communicating with or the audience? Okay, always asking yourself those questions. And then, what do you like the most? Listening to a music that cheers you up. Simple, so simple music. Then I like the power pose or the power walk, as I like to call it. So I just go chest out, take a deep breath. Yeah, like, feel, life within you. You see you breathing. You have this unique opportunity. And then you can repeat to yourself 3 things. Okay?
Let's practice.
Yeah, let's practice all together. I'm cool because I'm cool. Ludmila, you are cool. People listening to this, you are cool.
I'm ready.
You are all, yeah, you go for it. So you go, you are cool. I'm cool.
I'm cool.
I'm sexy.
I'm sexy.
And I've got this.
And I've got this.
Yeah, whatever it is. And then you can carry on repeating. And I sometimes actually walk as I'm saying it, just to change my state and change my breathing. So I'm impacting my thinking and emotional state from the external. Okay. So I just go, yeah, I've got this. Or I repeat it. I'm cool, I'm sexy, and I've got this. And I start changing it. Repeat it a few times. You see, you get into a different motion.
Cool,
yeah,
okay. Sexy. Yes, we are going. And yes, I can do this. How we doing? Yeah. Say, how we doing? How do you think our audience is doing? Well, I think we need music, huh?
Audience, exactly. We just need a bit of music, but then you can play the music up here. You are in charge. No excuses. No excuses. As you go, I'm sexy and I'm cool and I've got this. Whatever music you're playing, you see?
Oh, got it.
Exactly. I'm sexy and I know it. You've got these, people. No excuses. Instead of excuses, look for resources, because we've got this. Think about it this way. When it comes to communication and everything in life, we are playing sequences of thoughts, okay? And these sequences of thoughts are leading to an outcome. Do we like the outcome? Yes. Then carry on doing what you're doing in terms of your thinking. You don't like it, then that is an unsuccessful strategy. Then what can you change in your thinking? Oh, example, I woke up and I'm so bad, and then I had the argument with my wife, and the cat is winding me up all the time, and I hate my life. Guess what? So realizing that is the first step, becoming aware of it. So what can I change? And I always invite people to think of the opposite. My day has been bad. Okay, but was there a good thing? And what was it? And take it from there. Well, to start with, very easy. Are you breathing? Are you breathing today, Ludmila? Yeah, we don't even realize it. We're breathing all of the time. Yeah, so that is a gift.
So Jose, so how do you snap out of it? If I am really, tired and working 10, 12 hours, so some people work in night shifts, and how do I snap it? Do I just sit and do that? Is that the trick?
That's one of them for me. And it's just recognizing that you're breathing, recognizing that you are alive, recognizing that right now is a moment for you to change whatever you're doing. So your life is starting over if you decide to. You can incorporate a tiny little change right now, Ludmila, and people watching this, in order to change that. It can be breathing. It can be appreciating the fact that you've got a roof over your head. It can be the fact that you've got a phone and you can communicate with your parents or anyone else around the world. It can be the fact that you're eating. You've got something to drink. Simple. Start simple. Don't make it difficult. I've got orange juice and I can taste it. Look, example.
Yeah. Water, sorry.
How easy is that? Well, water is healthier. There's some sugar in here, but hey. So those are tiny bits. Ludmila, don't get me wrong. People appreciate my level of energy. I invest in my level of energy. I eat well. I take all of my vitamins. I exercise and I think about how I want to be often. So this is a muscle that we're building. Confidence, happiness, all of that is a routine that we're building on a daily basis.
Yeah. So our nervous system play a big role in all communication, and brain waves and all connection with the neurophysiology, everything happening in the brain and sort of stimulates and then our organ function. So do you know, or maybe what your thought, how does it relate, or how do you connect with, thinking and little bit kind of, our brain connection?
So you mean whenever we are, for example, having communication like this?
Yes.
Let me see if this answers your question. This is how I'm understanding it. For example, and I speak about this on my TEDx, it's just the power of the eye contact, for example.
Got it. Exactly. That's exactly what I was leading, because everything stimulates, and that's how eye and auditory, visual, that's important. Thank you. Yeah, please tell more.
Fantastic. So yeah, you just mentioned the different understanding. So I'm going to touch on two things. So I'm going to go first, maybe three. Let's see. So eye contact. I speak about this on my TEDx because this is how, when we're being brought up and, we're born, we're babies, this is how we learn. So we learn by mimicking, by modeling people, which is the foundation of neurolinguistic programming as well. So whenever we are making eye contact with that person, especially because we are curious, that utter curiosity that we have as children, then our brain activities are synchronizing. And that's the power of it. So that's one thing that can happen right away when we are curious. And that's the beauty of the intention behind our communication. Then, yes, absolutely, Ludmila, listening to the language, because we are very visual humans, individuals, but at the same time, we are kinesthetic, and which is when we express all of the different emotions, and we are auditory, and we're also using the, tactile and the gustatory, which is the VACOG. So by good communicators spot this language and they adapt it and they communicate in the same level or wavelength, if you like.
Yeah, that's actually very helpful, because that's what I was preparing audience, actually what you discuss and introduce concept of neurolinguistic programming. And I understand it was discovered in 1970, and it's been, big concept, and it play a role. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Well, it was created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. I always go to Michael Grinder. He's the brother. So the essence of neurolinguistic programming is the study of the structure of the subjective experience. Okay? So some people still, well, neurolinguistic programming doesn't tell me much. The study of the structure of the subjective experience doesn't tell me much. So imagine that's exactly what babies are doing. So the subjective experience, we create a reality based on the filters that we have, based on our beliefs, our identity, our purpose, our experiences in life, our skills, what we learned, everything. And that's how we filter that reality. So we filter that reality, and then we have those sequences of thoughts, and then we have an outcome. If the outcome is successful, then there is a strategy that works, a successful strategy that can be elicited if you ask the right questions, if you mimic and build rapport and all of this in order for you to, as I said, model it and use it. Quick example. I love how you smile all the time, Ludmila, for example. Simple.
Yeah.
And then I can ask you, what happens, some questions like this, what happens right before you smile?
Yes, it's a connection in my brain. So I get stimuli, and then everything with the stimulus, and then I smile. Then my all endorphins and everything elevated, and that's how I bring positive impact.
Okay, and that's a very logical explanation. That's great. And right, that's fine. That's fine. I ask you again, what happens right before the smile comes to you?
Well, I absorb the environment.
You absorb the environment, right? Okay.
Yes.
Key. So you absorb the environment. Then I could ask you a bit more about how is it that you absorb that environment? And when you absorb the environment, then what happens? So you're giving me a structure for you to smile that I'm extracting. Then I'll break it down, and then I have your structure to smile, and then I can incorporate it into my structure, and then I can, teach it, share it in my own way. But then I can smile in a very similar way to how you smile. So absorbing the environment, I never heard that one before. So I'm absorbing the environment. I can take it from there in my own without exploring any further. I'm exploring. That's the power of it. I'm exploring the environment. I connect with you, your smile. Yeah, I'm exploring this environment. Think about it. I can explore the environment and be sad, or I can explore the environment and be excited because it's something new. And then you see, we're starting to explore that strategy of yours just for smiling. This is powerful. That's why I say that we are walking books. We have got so much excellence within us. So if we actually decide to start learning from each other, oh, goodness me, we become super powerful in how we do, not just smile, how you run your business, how you do a podcast, how you speak on the phone, how you present, all of that. That's the study of the structure of excellence. And that's powerful.
Yes, that's very powerful. But also, now you were speaking about all these concepts, and you dive so deep in this that I wonder, where is it coming from? Why did you actually find yourself doing what you are doing? You're speaking to people, you connecting people, you elevate, you provide valuable advice. What is the backstory? Where it actually roots? Jose, can you tell us?
I'm going to go quickly back to when I was 5 years old, and I'm saying to my mom, I want, and I still remember this little bit. Mom, I want to travel the world. I want to live in the States, and I want to learn English. I want to start speaking in a different language. And eventually I had the opportunity when I was 16. I didn't go to the States, but I traveled to Sweden, where I connected with people from all over the world. And that was my starting point, because then I got the opportunity to speak about my country, Venezuela, abroad, and represent my country, share it in not just English. I also learned Swedish. And that led to me presenting more and more and more often, and really falling in love with connecting with people. Okay, very simply put, without going any deeper. Important message. I lost all of that ability to connect at some point in my life. And that led to a divorce. That led to me losing everything that I had built up to that point in my life. Okay?
Right.
And being completely lost, I started looking for answers. This is why I always invite people to look for answers, because you will find, or ask questions, or look for answers because you will find them. And I came across neurolinguistic programming because my boss, good friend of mine today and a mentor, Alan, said to me, I'm going to take you to a place that is going to change your life, that is going to help you find everything that you're looking for. Interesting, because it was leading me to believe that that thing will help me. So right away, he was kind of imposing an idea very kindly, but it is the power of the language So I went to that seminar. I learned about neurolinguistic programming a little bit, and then that became my life, part of my life. It is a philosophy. It is the way in which I live, and it's something I practice on a daily basis. It is that structure of the subjective experience.
Yeah, well, we learned a lot, and I was trying to explore more and read. And every time that what I realized, when we are connecting with other, experts and people and everyone in the world, that enriches actually our knowledge, and we find new ways of connecting and communicating. So I also, I never could have dreamed that I will be doing what I'm doing right now, having this broadcast and communicating and, speaking with the world. And now the world became flat. So it's really, really important. And I think that today we really learned so much, Jose, from you. I especially the technique, neurolinguistic programming, breathing, look good and I can do it.
And you're sexy.
And I'm sexy. And what else we can add for the audience? So before, Jose, I wish you would stay with us all day long. And I wish this broadcast would last so long. And I know your time is so valuable and I really appreciate. But before, we leave and the audience kind of say, I will see you soon. I don't want to say goodbye. I want to see you soon. How can you give us 3 tips for me and for audience? One more.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to basics again. Be curious about the person that is in front of you. Okay? Be there for them. And listen to understand. Those will be my 3 things. Should I repeat them one more time?
Yes, please.
Curiosity, be curious. Be there for the person in front of you with all of your senses. And listen to understand.
Curiosity, be there for the person, listen to understand. Thank you.
That will change the way in which you interact with other human beings for good.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose, very, very much. Thank you. And we learned so much. And I really enjoy having you here on the broadcast. And I urge everyone, please follow Jose. And you learn so many new techniques. Connect. Please follow advice, breathing exercise. And with that, I hope we will connect soon. And thank you so much, Jose, being on a show. Thank you so much. I will definitely implement your technique today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludmila. All the very best. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, audience. Take care and be curious. Get started today.
Thank you. And
bye,
we
bye,
will.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Jose. Bye-bye. Thank you. And with that, everyone, thank you very much for staying with the Dr. Connect show. And we are connecting through inspiring stories, providing education and experience. And with that, we will be right back with a very special guest, Morry Zelcovitch. And he has something that actually no one in the world has, something what he created. We will be right back. Hello, Morry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining and being patient with us. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Ludmila, for having me. I'm honored to be here.
It is so excited. And when I was getting ready to communicate and explore everything, I actually had to go to my pathophysiology book, make sure that I sort of do a little refreshment course, what I studied about 26 years ago or maybe more in medical school, and make sure that I stay tuned with you because you bring so much to the world. And it is my pleasure, Morry. So thank you so much for being with us. And would you please tell us your full name, where you located, and a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. My full name is Morry Zelcovitch. I was born in the Prairie Provinces in Canada, a little place called Winnipeg. I live in Toronto area now. And I am the world's first and only brainwave entrainment engineer. That means that I create audio and visual stimulation patterns that alter your neuronal activity. In other words, your brain. It alters the actual physical actions and reactions of your neurons. Your neurons pulse minute electric impulses. And depending on how many times a second that they pulse this minute electric impulse, that denotes whether they are pulsing in what everyone probably knows as theta or delta or gamma or beta or alpha. These are just words to explain how many times approximately your neurons are pulsing these frequencies. What's interesting about that, of course, is that when your neurons pulse frequencies, depending on the region of the brain and the frequency they're pulsing at, that dictates the kind of neurochemistry that they release. Hormones, endorphins, and neurotransmitters. Why that's important is that you feel what you feel because of that chemistry. If your brain is not producing this chemistry properly, then you don't feel anything. Your brain is the central processing unit of your life. So if it passes through your brain and creates chemistry, you experience it. Whether you experience it well or poorly, that is a whole other set of rules and regulations. But what really happens is if it doesn't pass through your brain, then you don't experience it at all.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason that I sort of want to make sure that you join together with Jose, because I feel like when we are communicating and we just discuss about, power of interaction, power of filtration, power of connection and communication and curiosity, I also believe everything starts in the brain. And also when we have some additional comorbidities, those things get affected. And I would like for you maybe a little bit explore what if, we have additional like Alzheimer's disease or something else that would affect our brain waves and connection communication. Can you tell a little bit about your spectrum of work in that area?
Sure. I want to clarify for your audience that I'm not a doctor. So anything I'm saying is my opinion based on my experience, but there's no hard and fast rule. I'm not telling you this is exactly
Correct.
how it is. That being said, Dr. Dale Bredesen, who is the author of the best-selling book on the New York Times list, The End of Alzheimer's, has a protocol called RECODE. And in this RECODE protocol, he's managed to halt and even reverse Alzheimer's, despite what science and medical doctors will tell you that all they can hope to do is slow it. He actually has this process that has been shown to halt it and reverse it in many cases. So he discovered my technology and uses it as part of his protocol to help people with respect to the ability to sleep, the ability to be de-stressed, PTSD, these kinds of things. You see, one of the, I wouldn't call it a side effect, but one of the effects of Alzheimer's, manifestations, if you will, is something called an amyloid protein. And we don't have to get into the sciencey or medical stuff about an amyloid protein, but you can kind of go like this. This is a neuron. This is a neuron. And now if this neuron wants to communicate with this neuron, it just does this. It pulses, an electrochemical reaction occurs, and now this neuron gets information which it can transfer and use. Right. Now imagine that we have something in between here now. Now this is pulsing, but the signal's not getting through. That's kind of what an amyloid protein does. And it's theorized that it may not be the cause of Alzheimer's, but it could have a lot to do with the brain's ability to communicate with itself, memory access, things like this. So what my technology does is it helps the brain to reestablish brainwave activity that is necessary for the brain to process these amyloid proteins. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but the truth is we all produce amyloid protein, and we do it all our lives for the most part. The difference is, as we get older, we tend not to experience quality sleep. For instance, we tend to experience less delta waves when we sleep as we get older. Delta is associated with a process naturally occurring in the brain that actually helps to clear out this amyloid protein in a healthy individual. My systems can help retrain the brain to be able to achieve these states again. And by achieving them, the idea is that these amyloid proteins get eliminated and processed much easier and quicker, leaving the neurons a free path to communicate.
So right now, it's so much different medical technology. And part of my show, I also sort of try to introduce our audience to variety, not only, in medical technology, also for people across the world who don't have access to technology and understand the process. But, right now, when I started, were no computers, minimal technology. Now, when I pretty much carry my TV in the palm of my hand, how does it work? Do you connect something to your brain? Can you explain to the audience? Is it something that I can hold in my hand or connect to my brain, or how does it work?
Actually, one of the, this is, I don't think we have enough time for me to get into the whole explanation here, but one of the reasons for me developing this technology and innovating it is because of my severe depression that I had for 40 years. So the bottom line is that I needed something simple, and I didn't have a lot of money. I was heavily in debt. So I couldn't spend tons of money on equipment, and I needed to come up with something that was basic and easy. And I was sitting around a campfire one day, and for the first time in my life, time passed quickly. And I was in my 30s at that point. And that was the first time it ever passed quickly. And I made the association that it was due to the noises the logs were making as they were popping and crackling throughout the event of actually, the fire going on. And I realized that sound was really important. Sound is what I use primarily. I use visual stimulation as well, but primarily sound, because all you need is an ordinary pair of headphones like this. These things cost me $10 Canadian dollars. So if you're talking the US, it's like 25 cents or something. So they're very inexpensive stereo headphones. That's all you need, nothing fancy. And an ordinary smartphone MP3 player. You can play it from your computer. It really doesn't matter. You close your eyes, you lie back, and that's it. There's no studying. There's no techniques to master. There's no, am I doing this right? So there's no judgment. There's nothing. Everything happens automatically by being exposed to, I won't say sound, because we actually don't experience sound as human beings. There is no, from what I understand, there's no animal or insect or human on Earth that's ever heard sound. It's all about vibration. So you think you hear my voice, you're not. You're getting exposed to vibration. That vibration is being interpreted by your brain, and your brain creates the illusion of sound. But it's all vibration. So with the brainwave entrainment, you literally have a pulsed tone, bah, 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 bah. And your neurons, when they're exposed to these tones, if they're within a special range and if they're designed properly, will actually create a monkey see, monkey do effect, meaning your neurons will start pulsing in a dominant way in these frequencies that I'm presenting. This creates neurotransmitters, endorphins, and hormone production that is necessary. Your brain is designed to function on these things. And if it doesn't get this ability to create the proper quantities, we are stressed, we are anxious, we don't sleep, we have cognitive issues. And this is what many people don't understand. Yes, we have evolved much. Our brains have evolved. But you know what? Millennia ago, when we were living in caves, our lives were much simpler. There was no stress. There was no anxiety. We lived in the moment. When someone died, they fell beside us. Okay, they're dead, whatever. There was no taxes. We basically got up, we went to the washroom, we ate, we hunted and foraged. We had sex. That's why sex feels good, by the way. It's a survival imperative. Nature made it feel good so we would do it, because we didn't know how women got pregnant. We thought women were goddesses. Frankly, I still think women are goddesses.
Well, thank you. I'll just say.
Yeah, but the truth is, we had no stress. Yeah, we had no stress. We got upset. Like if a saber-toothed tiger was going to attack us, we went into flight and fight. But then when the danger was over, we went back to our normal existence. So it's reasonable to assume that your brain at that point in our evolution was able to maintain stable frequencies for longer periods of time, meaning your brain produced more neurochemistry, meaning like how it was designed to function on, meaning you were actually happier and healthier than you are today. Because today, with all our stresses and anxieties, we don't get to achieve stable frequencies for more than a second or two at a time. And all you need to do is hook yourself up to an EEG and follow the light up patterns. You see nothing stays stable. It's bouncing everywhere. And if for those of you who don't know medicine at all, here's an easy way to look at it. Imagine you're driving a car that has full tank of gas, full brake fluid, full steering fluid. All the fluids are topped up and the engine is tuned. That's the kind of car we drove millennia ago. Now we're driving the same car, but it's rusting. The tires aren't inflated properly. There's almost no gasoline. The oil is low and dirty. The steering fluid is almost gone. That's what we're driving now. Because even though we have evolved a great deal in all these years, we're still designed to function basically the same way. We still had two nostrils. We still had two eyes. We still had two ears. We still had a brain. We're not getting the neurotransmitters and the endorphins and the hormones that our brains are designed to function on because of our society.
You're absolutely right. And also, I want to step back for a second and sort of reflect what you said about we live in a different place. So some have access to the phones, some don't have access to the phones. There are a lot of people in the world, they live very simple and they don't have access to this technology. And when we absorb, the vibration, what we call sound, then how do I differentiate what vibration, what sound? You said you were sitting at the campfire and that's something that, stimulate and you realize that's what makes the difference. I woke up in this morning and, ask, let's, play a little bit music, kind of classic. And so how do I know what sound or vibration would be appropriate for me? Do I select it or I just go with a random sound?
I get complaints all the time because I change my views. I have an open mind, and my open mind means I learn new things all the time. So how I would tell people to listen to my technology 2 years ago is different than how I would tell them to listen now. It's not a matter, my current understanding is it doesn't matter what frequencies you learn or your brain learns how to entrain to or follow. What matters is a variety. It's like exercise. If you just exercised your forearms and no other part of your body, your shoulders would be painful, your upper chest would be painful, you probably have lower back pain, because you're overdeveloping one set of muscles and the rest of it you're ignoring, but everything's attached. So because it's attached, you're going to get incredible strain on poorly exercised and developed areas because of the overly developed areas. So my new theory is, there's concepts and ideas that delta is good for sleep and theta is good for learning and this is good for that and alpha is good for relaxation. Well, that's kind of true, but if you actually want to act and react properly in the world and function properly, none of that applies. The idea is public school, in my experience, was a totally waste of time from the perspective of what they taught me.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people listening to us right now, so we got to explore this further because I also feel not even in the school, but also at the medical school, we learn a lot of information that we do not use today. And I heard this also from other students and my trainees that, why do I need to learn this? I'm never going to use this in my life. So tell us more, teachers.
Okay.
Us.
So I realized through my experience and through my research that it isn't what they teach you that's important. It's that they're teaching you how to learn that's important. And I've transposed that to the brain's physical function. So it's not important what you teach the brain. What's important is how you teach it to learn. So by using a variety of recordings, different frequencies, different stimulation types. You teach the brain how to learn to achieve those frequencies. And because you're giving it a variety of frequency, your brain, believe it or not, knows what frequencies it needs to go to when you're in different circumstances and situations. The problem is it doesn't know how to achieve them because we never get to achieve any frequencies for any period of time. With my recordings, we teach people how to, and when I say teach, it's automatic. You're not actually writing a test or looking at a blackboard and a professor, but you teach the brain how to achieve these frequencies so that when the brain is in a situation where it needs frequencies, say, that aren't taught by my recordings, it knows how to learn how to achieve them because it's already learned a whole bunch of other frequencies and all other frequency types. It now knows how to do it. It's like anything else. If someone is really good at memorizing, they may do very well in medical school. But when it comes down to treating someone who isn't a textbook case, they're probably not going to be very good doctors.
Right.
I don't really follow religion at all, but an old line that I attribute to the Bible, because I've been told by people it's there, I wouldn't know. But, if you give someone a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach them to fish, they eat for a lifetime. Well, it's the same thing with your brain. If you teach it how to do things, it will then know how to do things. There's a fallacy in meditation and in brainwave entrainment, in my opinion, that actually exists where they say things like, this is the truth, that isn't the truth. This is the truth, that isn't the truth. These are lessons that were taught that aren't true. And they're not true because it doesn't help you. It doesn't serve you. You have to really pay attention. You are born with sensor systems. For instance, Ludmila, have you ever broken a bone in your body?
Yes, I have.
What bone?
So it's in my tibia, in my leg. Yes, I was actually, I was about maybe 5-6 years old.
Okay. And I bet it hurt like heck, right?
Yes, very much.
Do you know why it hurts?
Well, with all neurons and stimuli, but tell me what should I know?
The evolutionary imperative behind pain is that it's telling you something is wrong and you need to address that something. That's why we feel pain. So if you ignore the pain, you're likely to get worse. If your leg didn't hurt you really badly when you broke your tibia, then you probably wouldn't have gone to see a doctor. Maybe your leg would have healed in a poor way. Maybe you wouldn't be able to walk. Maybe it would have gotten infected and maybe you would have died. Pain is actually something to be grateful for, not something to be upset with.
Yes, sometimes it's what we call as a blessing because then we develop certain defense mechanisms and we know how to respond, because then without pain, I would not know how to address the issue.
Exactly. And there's a lot of misinformation. Because there's people who will tell you that hemispheric synchronization, which is the concept where the left hemisphere is matched up with the right hemisphere, is the goal. That's the optimal way for your brain to operate. But if you've ever seen an EEG, electroencephalogram, for those of you that don't know, that's basically when they hook probes up to your head and they measure the cortical layer, so the top layer of the brain, for different frequencies and activations. If you look at people when they're living their life or thinking or doing anything, there is no hemispheric synchronization because that isn't natural. There is no real benefit to achieving hemispheric synchronization except when you're meditating, because then it allows you to relax and to focus and these things. But in real life, there is no benefit to hemispheric synchronization. As a matter of fact, it would probably make you a very poor actor in anything you tried to do, because you need to have your brain able to do multiple things at the same time. The brain is designed that way. It literally does millions of acts every second.
Yeah, absolutely. Even having a simple conversation with you, it requires multiple tasks. So it's very, very important concept. And also, Morry, I want to ask you that, can you give to our audience maybe one tip or something that we can do or implement from what you know today?
If there was a tip that I would give anyone, it would be listen to your internal sensors, listen to your mood, listen to your feelings. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but the brain is made up of billions of neurons. But what they don't know is the heart actually has neurons in it, as does your gut, your belly. So if you want to make a decision, make sure that all three agree. If you have any part of you that's feeling uncomfortable, that's a sign that you need to take a step back and you need to think about what you're doing. Now, here's a little trick for people. If they're having a hard time making a decision and they actually want an easier way to make a decision, believe it or not, and everyone's heard of this, have you ever flipped a coin, Ludmila, to make up your mind which way to go, what to do?
Yes, well, not for myself, but people made me to flip the coin.
Yeah. Well, here's why flipping a coin is the best thing.
But yes, I was told to do that.
Good. Well, here's why flipping a coin is one of the best ways to decide whether you're doing the right thing for you or not.
Okay.
So let's say I want to go left. So left will be heads, right will be tails. And I don't really know which way I want to go. So I flip the coin, I do it over, and I look at it, and it's heads. I pay attention to the very first feeling I have. I don't emote on it. I don't think about it. I don't intellectualize it. The very first feeling I get, remember, heads is left, tails is right. If I look at it and immediately I feel disappointed, I know I want to go right. If I'm excited, then I know I want to go left. You get by the so-called logic circuits that confuse you in the decision-making process. Simply by not waiting for yourself to intellectualize or put emotion on it. You flip, you decide heads is left, tails is right. I look, my first feeling immediately, without thought, my instinctive desire, that is what I really want to do. Now, it doesn't mean that's the right thing to do, but it means that's what you want to do.
Right, your internal, because right now probably someone will ask a question, so do I make decision on flight and fight response, or should I analyze and then determine and then make step? You know, like we always like planning something in life.
That's correct.
Analyzing something in life, and it's just never good enough. So it's so this is very, but I'm just gonna start flipping coin like today.
And pay attention to your head, to your heart, and to your gut, because those will tell you what you need to know. The bottom line is your brain is the CPU, central processing unit of your life. And a lot of people might say, well, the soul exists here or there or whatever. It actually doesn't matter. Nothing else matters when you consider your experience of your life. Because if it doesn't pass through your head, then you won't experience it. You won't notice it. It won't influence you. It has to pass through your head. So it's really important that your diet is good, because to produce these neurotransmitters and hormones and endorphins, your body needs precursors or building blocks or ingredients. Try to make a salad without any kind of lettuce or tomato or cucumber or vegetable. It's going to be very hard to make a salad, even if you know how. It's going to be very hard for your brain to create these natural neurochemicals that you need to function properly if you're eating garbage all the time, because there's no nutritive value to these things, which means you don't have the ingredients in your cupboard that your brain needs to produce these things.
And another that I was just thinking about, the Morry Method. And can you tell how, audience can find you? And we're going to come back to this, but right now I've been just really thinking the Morry Method, and I'm sort of trying to see if I'm curious, where do I find? Do I just Google or?
Well, you can Google the Morry Method for sure, and you'll probably get two main websites coming up. The first one is Active Minds Global, which is a website. That's the website where Dr. Bredesen found my original Revitamind program. That's the name of the program that actually is used. Actually, it's prescribed by doctors and clinicians all over the world now to help people with things like sleep issues and cognitive decline, various other issues as well, because the brain, again, is the hub for everything. So you'd be amazed at how many things improve when you exercise this muscle
Yeah.
as well as these muscles, and people tend to ignore the brain and they don't really think of it as a muscle. And I would encourage them to do that. And of course, the MorryMethod.com would come up as well. That would be a place. It has some of my systems. I have 23 systems currently, and I have 25 new techniques under development as well. I'm a big time researcher, and I'm very passionate about developing techniques and technologies, because I believe that there will come a day where I will have something for everybody. And I know your mind says, but I've been taught there's no way to do something for everybody. You know what? When you believe that, you make it so. When you believe there's always an answer, there's always a solution, then you will always come up with an answer, and you will always come up with a solution.
I cannot be agree more. Exactly. If you believe and dedicate it, and you go toward your goal, and you design the path, and you truly with your heart in it, well, in the brain, then
your heart too.
Yes, I have to be careful. Then definitely. And you've done such an amazing research. Can you tell us about the most exciting moment or something exciting? I know you told us it's many methods and all growing and for everybody, but do you have any excited story maybe or something for us to share?
Okay, so I got a testimonial a little while ago. I mean, I get them all the time, but this one particularly stood out to me. It was from a client in the UK who had at the time, a 26-year-old autistic son. Very withdrawn, autistic. When they're very high on the spectrum, they tend to be withdrawn and they don't communicate very well. They don't tend to socialize very well either. Well, after, using one of my systems, this family wrote me a letter saying, Morry, we've spent tens of thousands of pounds on different techniques and chemicals and doctors and, clinics to try to help my son. And frankly, nothing has helped. And then I spent $100 on one of your systems. And since my son has been using your product, he actually associates with his younger brother now. He actually talks with him. And what made them cry, and they actually said, and this made us cry, was the other day he came up to his father with a book in his hand and he asked him to read it to him.
Oh, that is so unbelievably amazing. So valuable.
Yeah. But it's the brain. That's the thing. In all of my instruction manuals, it doesn't mention the most important module of any of my work, because without your brain, my work is useless. Your brain is the most important thing. And the brain, through neuroplasticity and through its amazing ability to form neural pathways and alternate pathways, has the ability to do so many things that we just don't understand. It is truly the undiscovered country. I know we don't know much about the ocean floor. We don't know much about space. To be honest, we don't even know much about our planet on the surface.
Yeah.
But in here, this is where the real discoveries are to be made, because without here, you don't discover or learn about anything else anyway. So start with the basics, eat properly, get exercise, because physical exercise is amazing. Even small amounts, just going for a walk every day, can do amazing things for you physically, but it also does wonderful things for your brain. Another thing is fat. Natural fats. A lot of people, we stay away from them. We try to stay away from them. But you know what? One of the reasons why natural breast milk is so important for babies is in developing brains, they need the fat.
Yeah.
They need the fat for the brain to, function properly and develop. Interestingly enough, people don't realize this. As we age and become elderly, we also need the fat for our brains.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And that's why it's so important to maintain a good balance with the nutrition. Right. And like you said, most important, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your pain, and, connect.
It'll tell you. Yeah, it'll tell you. It's the ultimate connection. It's when you're driving your car, if the check engine light comes on, you don't take a piece of electrical tape and tape over the light so you can't see it, right? You go, uh-oh, something is wrong. Within a day or two, hopefully, most people will take their car in and get it serviced. So when we get a red light on the dashboard of our life, Why don't we do the same thing? Instead, we ignore it and we pretend it doesn't exist. And isn't it funny how things get worse? You know, I tell people it this way. When your car starts rusting, when you see the rust, do you think the rust just started 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, no.
Of course not. It's been rusting for years, and it's just showing up now because it's eating its way through. So I get people all the time telling me, Morry, I don't have to do entrainment. I don't have to meditate. I don't have to eat well because look at me, I'm 70 and I'm fine. And I say, yeah, but how much rust is forming underneath that hasn't shown through yet?
Yeah.
And then one day it's like a light switch flicking on. And now your back hurts all the time, or your heart has problems, or your liver stops functioning, your kidneys have issues, you know, your brain you start getting dementia and you can't remember where you are, or you're driving and you stop at a stop sign and you suddenly don't know why am I even here?
Yeah. Yeah.
All these things we get clues about before, you know, if we pay attention, nothing happens like that. It might feel like it happened like that, but there's lots of messages we get from our body and our mind years and decades before we actually have these issues. If we learn to pay attention and to ask questions, why am I feeling like this? What can I do to stop feeling like this? You might be able to ward off all kinds of things. Look, there's people in their 90s who walk around without a walker and without a cane, and they have fulfilling lives. And then there's people in their 70s who can barely move.
Yeah, right.
Which one do you want to be?
Right. Now, this is very, very important. I really like your last question. Which do you want to be? And with that, Morry, thank you so much. And I strongly urge all audience, please connect with Morry. He designed the only one in the world, the Morry Method, and connect with your body. Everyone, please connect with yourself, with your body. Pay attention to your body. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much, Morry, for being with us. Thank you. It's such a pleasure. And I love having you and our conversation. We learned so much. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And I want to thank anyone and everyone who's watching this at some other time. I appreciate all of you. And do yourself a favor and don't take anything I say or anybody says as truth. Take it in, reinterpret it, reimagine it for yourself in your own frame of reference. And then if you choose to act on it, because that's the only time it's going to help you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, everyone, for being with us on the Dr. Connect show. Join and subscribe our YouTube channel as well and connect with us. We are super excited to have you on this journey with us. And thank you for watching and listening. And we are looking forward to seeing you in the next one. And with that, bye-bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye.